passage work for this piece. I think this is a good one. Remember, the title of this is The Hills of Anacapri, which is an island off the Amalfi Coast of Italy, which is one of the sunniest places in the world. And it's very interesting because this is Prelude 5, and the very next prelude is the snowscape. So, the footsteps in the snow. So, Debussy puts the sunny weather right next to the snowy weather as the contrast. There are many, many contrasts, both dramatic, sound-wise in the set. It's one of the greatest masterpieces of piano repertoire of the 20th century, the Debussy Preludes, Book 1. And so, in this one, I like to imagine that the beginning is that, because if you've ever been to Anacapri, you have to take a boat there. And it's far off the coast. And so what happens is there's nothing in the sea, and you start to see the mountain, which is actually Anacapri, which is the top. The island of Capri is one big island, but at the top of it is Anacapri, the very hills. And so you see it from afar. I always tell students to imagine that that's what's happening, that you have... And Debussy writes light and distant. By the way, there's something very interesting. Perhaps you find this interesting. These pitches, it's A Lydian. These are the same pitches here. They just are inverted. So it kind of ties the piece together. And then as we go on, we kind of like, you feel like you're getting closer to land. The sounds get more... I find that a lot of Debussy's hand arrangements are not very convenient. And even Debussy knew it. For example, in his etude for the 8 fingers, he asked the pianist, just play it with 5, 4, 3, 2. Don't use the thumb at all. But then the French pianist Marguerite Long, she came and she played with 1, 2, 3, 4. And Debussy watched it and he goes, okay, you do just fine like that, so no problem. A lot of his arrangements at the piano are not very comfortable. And so I find in pieces like this, I'm often rearranging his notes. So right away, you see these 2 sixths here, where we have, I'm sorry, there's a 5th and a 4th. That place, I don't play it as Debussy suggests in one hand. I play it like this. Right hand, left hand. Yeah? Because the first one's accented and the second one's not. So the fingering of 5, 2, 3, 1 in one hand actually does the opposite accent. So I play, and then, as we go on with this, the student has to be able, to play cleanly and have good finger technique. This is not a piece for somebody who lacks some finger technique. And so there are a number of kind of difficult places where you have to, play quick repeated notes. One thing about this, don't pay attention to Debussy's marking of staccato on very fast notes. All he's saying is to play it what the French call perlé, meaning clean or scratched. Like here. There's no way to play staccato there, pianissimo. You just scratch the key, and when I say scratch, I mean when I touch the key, I'm actually like that. I have to keep moving. the middle section is actually a Neapolitan song and should be played with some freedom. So in this place. Generally, Debussy's music is, in an authentic way, pretty absent of much rubato. That's important. When I went to Paris that first year, that was my big lesson, because I had come from Russia and I would take a lot of rubato everywhere, and they're like, no, we don't play our music like that. It is very strict with regard to tempo. But this is a place where generally, you have to be free. There are a lot of difficulties of voicing here in this middle section. Like, if you look at measure 53, you have to voice that lower, that middle voice. What I do is I just play the same fingering. I play 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 on the melody, which helps me. If I change fingers, you can hear the weaknesses of some of the fingers. So, because it's staccato, why not? Try to give different color, this time the soft pedal. The hardest passage is here in measure 74. I really hate their fingering that I'm finding in this Handley edition. Because they have 5, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't know what your editions say, but I mean that's a tendonitis waiting to happen. Also, it's very sluggish. I like this fingering. I play 5, 1, 5, 5, 1, 5, 3, 2, and then my hand is free to go down on 3 on 3, 1 on the trill. It takes practice. Also, that passage is hard, that little chromatic passage, but I recommend this fingering. Beginning on measure 77, I play this instead of 4. That's impossible, by the way. 4, 5, 4. That's, again, the Henley edition wants to torture people most of the time. I would recommend beginning that passage on thumb. And then play this fingering. Thumb, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Just. And then you're on thumbs. So, it works perfectly. Then going to the end. There's a famous misreading here. I don't like their fingering here in measure 92. They recommend 2, thumb 2. Now that's very convenient, but unfortunately it goes against what Debussy is asking. He wants an accent on B. So I recommend 2 fingerings. Thumb 5, 4, 2, or thumb 5, 3, 1. But just thumb is essential on the B. And then last, on that last sound, it's really easy for the piano, because you're trying to make a lot of sound, it's easy for it to sound harsh, so the student can miss and also sound harsh. So what I do is I just thumbs, but relaxed. And then you make a gorgeous sound, a big sound that's not, harsh. And then you're not worried about missing the notes. So, and then you let it ring. And in fact, it's interesting. He uses the word lumière, like lighted. Things are illumined. And I think what he's talking about is the sun. It's like, it's so bright. The sun is so incredibly bright. So when you're dealing with Debussy, a lot has to be done with image, to give the right sound. You cannot take Debussy's music outside of the poetic or visual references. It's actually really key. So this is a little snapshot of Italy. And believe it or not, it's pretty authentic. A lot of people say this is a tarantella. It's not. It's a saltarello, which is faster than the tarantella. It's it's famous in that part of Italy, down in Catania, where the Amalfi Coast is. The valse. Aren't you impressed by how quickly I'm going? Do you like that? The valse, le plus que long, is actually, it's a play on words. It's a play on words because you have a famous genre of waltzes called, slow waltz, valse lent. In French, you would say a slow waltz. And Debussy's saying, as fast as you can, as slow as possible waltz. He's going one more. This is a rare example in Debussy of where he's dealing with what you would call like cafe or cabaret music. And because of that, I think one can play a little more freely than one can play in Debussy's more quote-unquote serious compositions. I would not give this to students unless they're pretty sophisticated for a number of reasons. How many of you have sight read through this piece? It's a disaster, right? Nobody likes to have C flat anywhere. And there are a lot of accidentals. And so just taking the music off the page presents a student with great difficulty. I would recommend a lot of hand separate practice. And even for an advanced student, I would say, please give me a C flat major scale, and how about some cadences in C flat major, just to remind yourself of the keys. It goes through a number of keys. But one of the things about this piece that I think is key is the gorgeous